Welcome everyone to today's session. I am Leena Jo, the Public Relations Manager for District 100 this year, 2025-26. And the session that we are going to be going through today is how do we build engagement on social media? Before we get into this, let me give you a background of why we chose this topic as one of the training sessions for our program this year. When I took on the role of the Public Relations Manager 3 months ago, I was all geared up, set up a team, and we immediately jumped into trying to see what all are the different projects that we can work on to ensure that we are keeping our current members and our prospective members informed and engaged. So we got around to creating a lot of different content, and we've been taking care that we are having consistency in posting or publishing this content over the various social media platforms. But then I realized that when it came to engagement, when it came to interactions, I wasn't seeing much of that. And that is when I asked this question, what is it that we need to do to ensure that we grow or increase that engagement, that interaction with our current members and our prospective members? And that is what we're going to be talking about in today's session. I'm going to be sharing some of the things that I have observed over the last few months and years, and I'm going to share that with you, and we can look at how collectively we can work on some of these tips. So the agenda for today's session is how to build engagement, and the framework that I could come up with is this. These are the various steps that we need to go through to ensure that we are able to increase engagement on our social media platforms. And today's session is, the scope of today's session is primarily in the TI Toastmasters International community. So we're going to look at how we can enhance engagement for our clubs, for our districts on the various social media platforms. There are so many other tips and tricks that you can look at to enhance social media if you're looking at something outside the world of Toastmasters. But in today's presentation, we are going to be focusing on those things that will help us as Toastmasters. So the very first step is set goals. Just as we start any project that we're working on, anything that we would like to achieve, the first step that we do is set goals. So today we're going to see what are some of the goals that we as Vice President of Public Relations or District Public Relation Managers can set as we embark on this journey of boosting engagement on our social media platforms. And at that point, we also need to look at what are the different levers that we can look at when we are setting goals. The next step in this process or the framework is we need to research our audience. So our goal here is to boost engagement, and we will talk in detail about this in the following slides. But the second step is whom are we going to increase this engagement for or with? So for that, we need to get a good understanding of our audience. Whether it's current members or prospective members, we need to know what are the demographics of our audience, what are some of their interests, what are their pain points. And if we have a good understanding of this, then we can tailor our content to cater to their areas of interest or to provide them some help on their areas of pain point. The third step in this framework is choosing the right social media platform. There are so many platforms that exist today, and it is important that we focus on those platforms that help our club or help our district, so that we are not spreading ourselves too thin by having presence on multiple platforms, but we can focus our attention on those platforms that work well for us and our audience. The fourth step is, once we've got all this in place, once we've set the goals, we've done a research on our audience, we've decided which is the right platform for us, then it comes to the execution stage, where we plan and we create engaging content. And this fourth step is what we will be spending considerable time in today's training session. The next one is the engagement that comes after you create this content. So once you've created the content, you've published it, there is scope for a lot of engagement that we can do after the content is published. So that is the fifth stage of the process. And finally, once we've done all this, we need to have some check in place. We need to take a pause and we need to see how we are doing, what are the things that is working well for us, and what are some things that might not be working as well. So that is where the measurement and the analysis comes into picture, because this helps us further tailor our plan, our strategy in a way that we are able to maximize the output that we get from our efforts. So this is what we are going to look at in detail over the next few slides. The first one, setting goals. As VPPR or District Public Relations Managers, we have two sets of audience. One, which is our internal audience, and these are our current members, all the clubs, if you're a district PRM, all the clubs that is within your district. So anyone within the Toastmasters world is our internal audience. And then we have our external audience, which is the general public, anyone who's not yet a Toastmaster, so your guests or your potential members. And it is important for us to understand this difference, because the message that we are conveying to these two groups can vary a lot. And if you look at the points in under each section, we can get a better understanding of this difference. So for internal audience, one of our primary goals is to make sure that they receive all the required information, the updates in a timely manner. So it could be any training programs, any deadlines that are coming up, all those things is information that is pertinent to our internal audience. Whereas it might not be as much to the external audience, because external audience might not know what a renewal period is, or they might not know what a club success plan is. So the information for them is very different. What is it that we are looking for them? We need to let them know what Toastmasters is all about. So increasing the brand awareness of Toastmasters, the reach is what we will be looking at for external audience. So this is where you can look at the benefits of Toastmasters. What did you gain by being part of Toastmasters? So those are some of the things that you can look at, the message that you can look at for external audience. And internal audience, yes, we want to increase engagement. That is definitely one of our key goals, because we do know that when there is a higher engagement within our community, it is a strong community. People want to be part of that community. For external audience, yes, engagement is also important, and we need to grow our follower count, or ultimately it should result in increasing in the membership as well. So some of the metrics that we can look at in a social media parlance is the number of followers, number of likes, comments, shares. If your content is more in a video format, then the number of views, the time that people spend on these videos. So all that also are some of the metrics that you can look at when you're setting goals. And yes, when you're setting goals, always think of the SMART goals, keeping it specific, measurable, achievable, time-bound, and realistic, because you need to make sure that once you set those SMART goals, you are able to then do the measurement of how much you're achieving in an appropriate manner, because the last step that we saw is where you measure and analyze performance. So only if you set these goals as SMART goals, it'll help you measure the output that you're getting as you go along. The second step of the process is researching our audience. So we spoke about internal audience, we spoke about external audience. So we need to know more about who our current followers or our prospective followers are. So if you go into the Facebook Meta Business Suite, so if your club is having a Facebook or an Instagram account, and you as a VPPR would most likely have the admin access to your club's Facebook or Instagram page. So you would be able to get into something known as the Meta Business Suite. So this Meta Business Suite is you can access both Facebook and Instagram related analytics through this Meta Business Suite. So once you log in as an admin, you will go into the Meta Business Suite. And here you have various options. You have content, you have planner. Many of you might be using the Meta Business Suite to schedule your content across several weeks using the planner feature that is available. Today, we are going to look at the Insight tab on the menu. So once you click Insights, you then click on audience, because the step that we are on now is researching who our audience is. So click on audience, and then you will get a view which shows you the demographics or the trends of your current followers. And the one that you see now is for Facebook. So here you can see the age and gender. This chart is showing the age and gender demographics of our district's current followers. So this gives me a view that, okay, most of our followers are in the age group of 35 plus. And then if I look at the Instagram demographics, here I see there's a slight change. I see that we have a considerable number of followers in the 25 to 34 age group as well. And that is it's self-explanatory that on Instagram, you do have a younger generation or younger group of people on Instagram. So this graph it's just very much in line with that concept. So this is a good way for us to understand our current audience. That way we are able to cater to these different platforms accordingly. So one action I will take from this is I will try to see, can I try to create content that is specific for Instagram and use that to cater to the age group of 25 to 34. So usually Reels is something that works really well on an Instagram platform. Stories is another thing that works well. So I'll try to focus my attention on these two formats of content for the Instagram platform, and may not be as much of those for the Facebook platform. I might do more of just the standard posts for the Facebook platform. So this will give you an understanding of how you need to modify your content based on the different platforms. And this is the Meta Business Suite, whichever platform you're using. So LinkedIn also has a similar analytics page. YouTube has a similar analytics page. YouTube goes into, because most of the content on YouTube is in the form of videos. So it goes into things like the watch time, which are the videos where people spend more time watching more of the video rather than just clicking in and clicking out. So all that also helps you understand more about your audience, understand what are their interest areas and what is the content they like to see. That way you can create more of that content. The third step is choosing the right platform. Yes, we spoke about this earlier. There are several social media platforms that are available. What is listed here is just some of the most prominent ones. And the reason why I wanted to list all of this is not to overwhelm you by saying you need to have a presence in all these platforms. It is not feasible. If you do have a strong team, a big team, yes, definitely go for it. But again, you need to see if it makes sense for your club or your district as well. So let me give you an example here. Let's assume you are a corporate club. As we know, corporate clubs, the audience is primarily employees of your organization. So the promotion tactics that you use would be limited to the internal communication channels. So you could be using your company's bulletin board. If you have any intranet platform for your company, you can use that. LinkedIn is something you can look at because LinkedIn is a more professional networking sort of platform. So you can use LinkedIn for corporate clubs. You might not use Facebook or Instagram or TikTok as much, whereas that could help the open clubs or the community clubs much more than a corporate club. So see which platform makes the best sense for your club, for the message that you want to convey for your target audience, and accordingly you can choose which platform. That way you focus your attention on that platform. You can get to learn more about that platform, and you can tailor the content based on what works best for that platform rather than spreading yourself too thin. The fourth one is the execution part. So till now we saw the initial or the prep work that we do when we want to come up with this whole framework. This step is where we will start with the execution. And the next few slides, we're going to spend a little uh, time on this particular point. So what is this colorful thing that you see in front of you? Let me take a few minutes to explain what this is before I go into what we do with this. So this is just a very simple Excel spreadsheet, which is listing down all the different social media promotions that District 100 is doing in the month of September. So I have this spreadsheet for each month. And this template is something which I didn't create. I got this from one of the past public relations managers. And I was like, this is such a great way for me to keep track of what all needs to be published. If I'm going to be having it all in my mind, it is not going to work. I need to see it somewhere in a piece of paper. So that is why this Excel sheet really helps me. Now, what are these different color codings that are available here? So this is in the bottom, I've shown the legends. And yeah, you please feel free to replicate this if you feel it's going to help you as well. This is not something that you have to do, but it is something that could help you. So here, if you see all the light orange or the light yellow that you see, and most of it is the light orange or the light yellow. So to give an example, if you see um, the content for September 3rd on the very first section, Wednesday, September 3rd, it's all that light yellow content. So light yellow is the legend that we are using for our internal audience. That is the Facebook member group. So if you see, all the content of the light yellow will be pertaining to information applicable only for members. So things like your club officer training, things like your membership fees, your submitting your club success plan, and your incentives. So all this information that is applicable or that would make sense to our members, that is what we put in the internal Facebook members group. And all the other colors that you see, the dark orange, the green, the blue, they're all the other platforms, the public facing platforms. So dark orange is the Facebook public page, green is Instagram, and blue is LinkedIn. So all these, if you see the content, it is more about our member level and path completions, because that is going to talk about recognizing our members in the public platforms. Then we have spotlighting our clubs and members. Then we have a lot of, so this year we are doing a lot of content around holidays and awareness days as well. So if you see here, we have the World Suicide Prevention Day on September 10th. So we had created a post about that. And various other things that we feel is applicable to the external audience is what we put up on these public facing platforms. So why did I want to show you this? Just to give you an understanding that whether you are a club or a district, it is always good to have a calendar in place. I go back to Julie's very first session where she spoke about art of promoting your club. She said you need to have a communication plan. You need to know what is it that you want to do. So having some plan in place like this definitely helps you to make sure two things. One, to have consistency. So this way you're trying to see that at least most of the days you post something. And yes, this is at a district level. So you see a lot of content. At a club level, it might not be as much. So for those of you who are joining us in the role of VPPR for your club, do not worry. This looks like a lot. At a club level, you can size it down based on what is applicable for you. So yes, the first one is consistency. You can make sure that you are having a consistent social media communication. And the second one is you have variety of content. So it's not the same thing that you're posting or publishing. You have various things that you can think of. So this calendar helps you put that into place. Now, we will talk a little more about this piece of engaging content. So what are some of the things that you can look at within the Toastmasters community, which can be good examples of engaging content? So the next few slides, I'm going to be showing you some samples within our district and some even from other districts that I have taken. So you can try to take away some of these things and see how you can replicate it. The first thing that you can look at when you are looking at engaging content is the relevance of the message to your audience. Why is this important? All of us on social media, we do hours of doom scrolling on every given day. And have you ever realized that there are some pieces of content where it makes you pause, it makes you stop that scroll and try to pay attention to what that piece of content is saying? And if you spend some time to analyze your own consumption of the content, you'll know it is going to be based on topics that you like, or it is your interest area, or it is something that you're curious and you want to know more about. So relevance is very important to make sure that our audience stop and pause to read what is the content that we are publishing. So that is important in any message that you do. Here I've given some examples of content for internal audience, so our current Toastmaster members. And the one on the left extreme, which is a promotion for the session that Cheryl Rausch took. This, in fact, I worked with Cheryl Rausch to create this piece of content. Based on her guidance is what I have created this. So she really talks about how you need to have things like who should attend this session, why should they attend the session, then when is the session, the logistics part of it, and finally end it with a call to action which says how do you attend the session? Do you have a registration link, or is it an in-person meeting? Whatever is that call to action, you should end with that. And at the end of the session, I will post the link for the recording of her session, Market Like a Pro, where she does a deep dive into these things. So yes, this particular piece of content was important in terms of for all our public relation members. Many of them attended this because this was something which they found relevant for their role. Then whether it comes to renewals, whether it comes to some tips, all that you have to see whether it is relevant to our audience, what is in it for them. And that if you are able to answer that question with a positive response, then yes, that is a good content to have when you're creating engaging content. And yes, you also try to look at different formats, not just static posts, try to have reels. The one on the right extreme is a carousel. So in LinkedIn, you have this thing called carousel, where if you upload a bunch of images as a PDF, you can swipe through each of these pages. So usually when you're having some tips or something, so each slide can be one tip. So that is a carousel, and LinkedIn has that format available. So you can try to do something like that on a LinkedIn platform. This is another example for external audience with respect to the concept of relevance. So this is something which I recently saw, and this is from the District 3 annual celebration event that happened last week. So if you see here, it's such a lovely picture. It easily draws your attention to that picture. They're all dressed in the theme. The theme that they had was Toasties at the Derbies. So it easily draws you in. And what I liked about what they did was they connected this entire celebration or recognition event that they had to the point of why join. So they say that here we believe in the power of women supporting women, and then they go to, therefore you can join us. If you join us, you have this safe supporting space where you can develop your leadership skills, connect with a diverse community. And they also end it with the call to action, which says, check out your local Toastmasters club and experience the transformative power. So I liked the way they use this very nice visual image, and they were able to connect that to why join and also ended it with a call to action. So this is an example I thought I would share with you. Few other examples for our external audience. So as I said, we need to first tell them what Toastmasters is all about, because they're not yet our current members. So you can talk a lot about the different benefits of Toastmasters, some of the tips around public speaking, communication in general, leadership. All these are some of the things you can look at when you are creating content for your external audience. Continuing with that, you can try to, so here I would want to draw your attention to, when you create these tips, look at what are our audience interest areas and what their pain points could be. So why does someone join Toastmasters? Why did you join Toastmaster? If the answer to that question was to enhance my communication skills or my presentation skills or to get a promotion at my job, these are some of the pain points or interest areas that you can connect with your external audience or your prospective members. So try to create content which are tailoring to these topics. And a good thing that you can do is you necessarily don't have to create the content from scratch. Toastmasters International already creates a lot of this content. So all these three that you see on this slide is something that Toastmasters International has created, and they have posted on their social media pages. So most of these I have taken from LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is a good platform to post content like this. So all you need to do is just reuse this content. You can repost or reshare this content. You don't have to create it from scratch. So yeah, that is something I wanted to share with you. And the next thing you can look at for engaging content is recognition. And it so happens that the first image on this slide is someone from our audience today. So yes, definitely recognition is something which is a very good option for you to create engaging content. All of us love to be appreciated. All of us love to be seen. So as VPPR, if you are able to make your members, your clubs feel seen, that is a good opportunity to create some engagement with them. So if you see the post where Ed has achieved his distinguished Toastmasters, congratulations, Ed. There were a lot of people who responded to that, who appreciated him, all his friends, all of us, we were able to chime in and congratulate him. So these are some of the things you can look at when you're looking at engaging pieces of content. Anything that is community oriented, that is another thing which is a good thing you can look at. So when you have any social gatherings, any special events from your club, it could be an open house, it could be when you're having some milestone celebration of your club. So all these are opportunities for you to create engaging content. People love to see these events, pictures of these events, and don't stop with pictures. You can even try to grab a few video content as well. So quickly walk up to some of your members and just record a 1-minute video from each of them, and you can use that. I have seen a lot of clubs, they do this. They try to get snippets from their regular meetings as well, and they post that on platforms like Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube as well. So that is something you can look at when you want engaging content. Then you can also look at inviting responses. Now, what do I mean by that? Post content which typically has a question or something that the audience can respond to. And here I would draw your attention that it should be something where they're able to respond quickly rather than writing out a lot of long things, long responses, because again, our attention span is very less. And when even if I want to respond, if it's something which is a long response, I might be like, okay, maybe not now, maybe I'll come back to this later, and then you're never coming back to it. So if you're able to get very quick responses for them, like the example, the second picture that you see here, this was for our internal Facebook members group that we had. Which of these is not a club incentive? So the free pizza with every speech was the answer here. So it's very easy. People can just quickly respond saying option C or free pizza. So that takes microseconds for them to respond. So try to create content which you can invite responses from them. And the one on the extreme right is what we did a few years back for Halloween. We have Halloween coming up later this month. So you can definitely try to use this. So if you have multiple choice answers, it's easier to get responses from your audience. So think of having, it could be trivia, it could be any fun conversation, any of these you can look at. And the last thing in terms of this engaging content samples is try varying the formats. So I have touched upon this earlier as well. To keep things fresh, to make sure that there is a variety in your content, I would encourage you to try different formats. So you can even have, if you're having an event, you can do a live of that event. You don't have to do the live of the entire thing, but at least for some portion of it, the key portions, you can try to do a live, or you can do a live setting up to that meeting, like in anticipation of that meeting. You can try to do that. So the picture on the left extreme over here, it was not a live, it was just a static picture, but I posted it just before we were going to start our year-end event back in July. And I realized that it helped people kind of build up that anticipation as we were starting that event. So it was a hybrid event. So even people online, all of them were excited to join in for that event. So try different formats. Another thing you can look at is launching a poll. So you can ask simple questions pertaining to the Toastmasters community, or even some trivia questions for that matter you can ask. So that is something you can look at. And Reels, of course, is something you can look at. And in all these things, make sure that we did talk about accessibility, digital accessibility in Johnny's session. So try to take care of the accessibility part in terms of if it's a video or a reel, have the captions enabled so that it helps people who are not able to read, at least they can hear it through the screen readers. And yeah, so make sure that you have the accessibility part as well. So before we go into this particular report, which was Canva's latest report on the state of visual communication this year, I want to quickly ask you a question. In the last few slides, I showed you samples of different content which you can think of when you're creating engaging content. Is there anything that you can recall, any one of them that you can recall from what I showed you? Anyone who would like to answer? Yes, Julie?
Creating a poll.
Creating a poll. Okay. Anyone else? Which was the content that you really liked a lot from all the pictures that you saw? Ed, which was your favorite?
Well, I couldn't help noticing my picture.
Okay. Okay. Mimi, what about you?
This year I started pathway level completion shout out.
Okay, okay, okay. So if you noticed all the images that we saw, the ones that had a lot of visuals, those definitely draw our attention as audience towards those pictures. So this Canva report, what it said was, before your message is read, it's felt. And that says a lot. So even before you actually read the content, the visuals itself sometimes draw us in. So Ed, I think, was completely drawn to seeing his image on that slide, and he was able to connect to that one the best. So if you see this report, it says that the visual content sparks our memory encoding 74% faster than dull content. So it is very important that we have that right focus on imagery or the images that we use. And few tips I would share here is definitely, yes, we need to make sure that we stick to the brand guidelines, the brand uh, colors and templates, but you can still play around with those brand guidelines. Like you can try to mix things up a little bit, look at the different color contrasts that are going to give you the best visual impact. So try to experiment a little bit with that to see that you have good visuals. Use photos of your own club members rather than using stock images as far as possible. And ensure you have high quality images. And when you download the content from Canva, download it as a PNG because the quality is much higher in a PNG format. So look at some of these small things that you can do to ensure that you have good visual appeal in any of the content that you are publishing. And the next thing I wanted to share with you is something I learned from a session that I attended recently, which was conducted by PRSA, that is the PR Society of America. This session, the speaker was Matthew Segal. He is the co-founder of a company called Attention. This is a digital media company, and they create a lot of videos on important topics, which are informative to the public. So this is what he said in his presentation. When you're creating content, try to see if you can achieve at least one of these 4 pillars that you see over here. Now, what are these 4 pillars? So the attention span that we have, in fact, their company is named in line with that. So the attention span that we have is very limited. So how do we get that hook on our audience? So the first pillar is instinctual attention. And this is to do with the sensory stimuli. So colors, pictures, all those things that we see, that is the first pillar. That is one way of connecting with your audience. The second one is the emotional connect, which is feelings. So if you're able to, connect, if your pictures are able to draw people's attention towards some feeling that they are getting, that is the emotional attention. The third one is cognitive. This is more to do with how you're able to give an opportunity for your audience to connect the dots and try to find a logical connection between everything in your piece of content. And finally, the helpful attention. The fourth pillar is, are we inspiring our audience to decide to act? So here, are they thinking beyond just, looking at our content? Are they taking the step to act? So Matthew Segal says that if you're able to use one of these pillars, it's good. But if you're able to combine and use 2 or more pillars where you have 2 or more of these, then it is a great content that you can create, which will help grab that attention of your audience. So the next step of our 6-part framework that we saw is the engaging after the post is published. So till now, we saw how we set goals and how we researched our audience and then how we decided the social media platform. We created a plan, we executed the plan, we created a lot of engaging content, and we published them. Now what? It doesn't stop with just publishing. There is a lot of engagement that you can do after content is published. So these are some of the things that you can look at. The first one is trying to use trending hashtags. And I've given a few examples over here on this slide, which is related to the Toastmasters community. These are some which I have researched and found some of the trending hashtags within the field of communication and public speaking and leadership. So try to use these hashtags. Now, how does this help you? As some of us know, hashtags will help your content. If you use a hashtag in your post, it will help pull up your post if someone is searching for that keyword. So let's say someone is searching for public speaking, and if you have that hashtag in whichever content you've posted, then you will be able to view your post when they search for that particular word. So that is why it is important to use relevant and trending hashtags in your posts. So where do you use this? You use this in the description of the post. It's not going to be on the image itself. The description that accompanies your post, that is where you will use these hashtags. The second point is to tag your club members. This is something that I've started doing once I took on this role, and I have seen that it really can help a lot. An example I wanted to show you is this image. So we recently highlighted my club, Celtic Toastmasters, on the district social media pages. And I ensured that I tagged all my fellow club members. That way, how it helps you is this tagging, it brings this notification up on their feed. So whether it's social media or Instagram, it immediately shows them that notification. So that way, I'm almost forcing them to see that content if sooner than what they would have actually seen. And that way you're able to make sure that they are able to engage with the content. So definitely try to tag your club members and follow your club members, invite them to follow your club or district. So one thing I'm doing as the district PRMS is I started following a lot of the clubs in our district. I'm trying to engage with their posts. So if they are posting something about one of their special events coming up, any open house or a social gathering, I try to repost that on the district social media page as well. That way they'll get a higher visibility for their special events. And I try to comment and like some of their posts. They have also started responding on the district social media pages. So definitely it is a community. All of us definitely have to work with each other to see how we are able to enhance or grow the engagement. And yes, encouraging all of them, all your club members to comment and share and like the posts as well. And this is the last step of the framework that we saw to build our engagement. So we've been trying a lot of things till now. Are we on the right track? Is whatever effort we are putting towards creating these engaging content, is it working for us? So we have ways in which we can analyze our performance. And I go back to the Facebook Meta Suite. So as I said, if your club is having a Facebook or Instagram ID, you will have access as the VPPR to the admin of that page, and you can go into the Meta Suites. This time, when you go into Insights, we are going into the content section, the content tab. The last time we went into the audience tab when we did the audience research. This time we are going into the content tab. When you go into content tab, you will be able to see the entire list of all your posts that you have published over the last few months as well, even up to a year and more. So when you see this, here I have arranged these posts in descending order of views. Now let me take a few minutes to quickly explain to you what these different columns are. So the first column that you see, which says views, this is basically the number of times your content was displayed, or if it's a video, number of times it was played. That's the first column. The second column, reach, is the unique number of people who saw your content. So reach will definitely be lower than views because a lot of people view your content multiple number of times. The third column is interactions. This is a calculation of all the shares, likes, comments, everything put together is the third column, interactions. And the next three columns is a breakdown of interaction. So it's a split of interaction basically. So likes and reactions is one category, comments is one, shares is one. There's also something called saves, if they save your piece of content. So all these put together form the field which says interactions. And then the last metric on the right extreme is the watch time. So you see it only for one of the content here because that's the only video. All the other content on this view is photographs or multiple photographs. So that's why they don't have a watch time. So why is it important for us to see this because this will give you a view of which all are the content that is working well with your audience. This actually ties back to the audience research also. So here, if you see the top content, most of it, I know the text font is little small. You might not be able to read. So I'll just quickly read some of them to give you an idea. The first one is welcoming our new district leadership team. Second one is the year-end celebration. Third one is again a video of one of our area directors. I had recorded a 1-minute video of him as to what the leadership role means to him. And then the fifth one is the one that we saw earlier, Ed's DTM post. So most of these, if you see, a common theme that you can observe is it is to do with recognition. It is to do with spotlighting our members, spotlighting our clubs. So this will help you understand what is the content that is working well for you. And also, not just in terms of high number of views, you can also see which content is leading to more interactions in terms of comments. So here, well, let me go back. So here, if you see the post, which is congratulating Ed for his DTM, that has 7 comments as against the other posts, which might not have as many. So what I infer from this is a post where you're congratulating a fellow Toastmaster for achieving something as big as a DTM, that invites people to respond and chime in and congratulate the person. So this will give you an idea of what are the things that also increase the engagement in terms of interaction. And here, this is to give you a view of some internal content, which is from the Toastmasters International members group. Here again, if you see, the first one is congratulating our district director for the DTM that she got. And there were a lot of comments on that, whereas some of the others might not have as many comments. So all this will help you see a pattern as to which are the posts that is working well, which you would want to spend more time on as you go along. So all this is to give you an understanding of how to measure your performance. This is again a deep dive into interaction. And here, if you see interactions, as I said, multiple things are there. The reactions that you do. So what is reaction? When someone is hitting the like button or giving it that thumbs up, that is considered as a reaction. Comment is when you actually type something out, and shares is when you repost that. So here, if you see on the bottom part of this by interaction type, most of our interactions are reactions. And this again gives me the inference that people feel comfortable to quickly just hit that like button, but may not be as much to actually sit and type out a comment. So that is where we need to slowly start seeing what pieces of content can I post which will invite people to actually type out comments. And I go back to what I said a few slides ago. Try to make it such that it is a quick response that they need to give and not very long messages that they need to type. That might encourage or motivate them or nudge them to actually post a comment as against just stopping with a like. So definitely try to experiment with some of these things. And this is something that as a district, my PR team and I want to experiment over the next few months. So the first quarter we took to just stabilize, to make sure that we have all the templates in place. So that slide you saw with all that colorful squares. So that is all the templates we have created for the entire year. I strongly encourage you to use templates because that saves a lot of time for you. You don't have to keep creating designs from the scratch for any of your regular things. So if you're going to have your member achievements, all those are repeating or regular content. So templatize them. And using the Meta Business Suite, you can schedule them out for weeks together and try to refocus your attention on engagement and see how you can create content. So that is what our team this year is, the next few months we want to do. We want to focus on what pieces we can look at which will enhance the engagement. And this is just a Excel sheet which I made for myself just as an internal thing. I wanted a view of all the platforms in one place, so I just put this together. I'm just following the absolute increase in number across each of our social media platforms. And this one quarter, I see that across platforms, we were able to grow. Of course, while it looks good in terms of absolute numbers, the percentage is not as much. Facebook and Instagram, it's only a 2% or a 3% increase. But as we go along, we definitely want to see how we can enhance that growth much more over the next few quarters. And building that strong engagement is very important because that is what builds a strong and vibrant community. So with that, let me quickly stop sharing. And I know I couldn't take a look at the chat. I know Julie has been responding to some of it, but I would now quickly go through the chat and see if there is any question that I need to.
We don't have any questions.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Ed, for capturing all the insights. That is really helpful. Okay, any questions from anyone?
Have you seen reels versus static posts? What have you seen perform better?
Yeah, that's a good question. And yes, I did observe that from our Meta Insights as well. So it depends on the platform. And in Facebook, what I observed was the static posts perform better because Reels is not something which is very conversant in a Facebook platform, whereas Reels perform very well in an Instagram platform. So definitely what I'm trying to do is to have more Reels or stories and less of the static ones for Instagram and have more of static for the Facebook platform. So definitely based on the platform, I think that will help you reach the right audience.
Another question.
Yeah.
Have you seen the post or the content that features members versus the TI content or the content that you've come up with? Which have you seen perform better?
Okay, so is the question whether the internal content versus external content is that?
Yeah, so the posts, like I know Ed completed his DTM, congrats. Content such as that versus, other content that we post as a district or club. What have you seen perform better? Like stuff that features people or things that are reminders?
Yeah, so reminders definitely not for the external platforms. That is more an internal communication because, yeah, you definitely don't want to post on your public pages saying, hey, renew your dues by September 30. And then people are all going to be like, okay, what are they talking about? So all those reminders, all information that are applicable only to members, we try to limit it to only the internal communication, and that would be your Facebook members group. If you have a newsletter that is going out to your members, so any other internal communication channels that you have. External, yes, you focus more on two things, I would say. One is the benefits of Toastmasters. Those are things that work really well. So the examples that I showed you, which I took from the Toastmasters International LinkedIn page, the tips. So tips to land a job, tips to get a promotion, tips to not flop in your presentation, but pop, the one that I showed you. All those which talk about benefits of Toastmasters, I see it works really well because that again goes back to the areas of interest of our audience. So benefits is one thing you can look at, which is working well in the external platform. Second thing is member recognition, member or club recognition. So going back to Ed's post, once we posted that, a lot of his friends, they were able to chime in and congratulate him. So definitely, I think that gives the message that, hey, this is a very vibrant community and I would want to check that out. I see that someone has achieved something called a distinguished Toastmaster, and what I read from the description is that this is the highest education level that one can achieve in Toastmasters. So that also creates a level of curiosity among the general public who are non-members as yet, and they would want to work towards achieving something like this. So when you recognize members, it works in two ways. Your members feel good, and your future members also think that, okay, this is something where I can join and develop myself, and I will be recognized for the achievements that I meet. So all these work really well.
Great, thanks.
Thank you, Julie. Ed, you had a question? You,
Okay.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Here, because of my current role, I'm really forced to study about social media because my job is really the marketing side. Now, so this is very new to me. I signed up for a number of trainings, and one of the trainings I took was about Instagram, which is very new to me. Uh, According to the trainer, Instagram Reels are targeted to non-friends. They're targeted to everybody. So if you want to promote a club, you want to gain membership, your target are those who are not your followers because they see your posts anyway. So Reels would be the best according to the speaker. However, stories, they are shown exclusively to people who are your followers. Unfortunately, they say stories don't last. So after a while, they're removed. I don't know how that works. But reels, they are on the ring, So that really surprises me. I think one of the good strategies is to do reels, although I still have to learn how to create reels. Okay.
Yeah.
I also noticed something because if you notice the District 100 site, I seem to be the number one person who tags pictures, and there are a lot of posts there. I just noticed that's the effect. So I think one of the great strategy for public relations people is to tell members to post something relevant in their Facebook accounts and then tag your club. So the picture or the post gets replicated into the ecosystem of the club, and that contributes. I said, wow, that's great. And what I do, because I found out every time you tag, it shows up, that post shows up in the account of whoever you tag. So what I do is, being the crazy person that I am, I tag everybody in a meeting, and I found out that, so I don't appear as spam. In every meeting, I get 3 pictures, but they're not really 3 pictures. I get like 20 pictures, and then each picture I replace with a better picture in some of the other shots. So the posts that I make are not from one picture. They're from a bunch of other pictures. People smiling. So it's sometimes it's so hard to catch a member smiling.
Yep. Yeah.
So I managed to do that. I get people smiling in one post. That's one picture. I get 3 of those kinds of pictures. I tag everybody in the meeting, and I also say, "Hey, we missed your presence," and then I write the names of those who did attend. Okay, so that the post appears on their page. after all, they're members of the club, right? So I get them to have picture, and you'll be surprised. Some of these members who don't have posts, guess whose posts show up in their Facebook page? Hey, it's an ad. It's-
Yeah.
So I think that's how I get to promote. And sometimes there, every now and then, there's people that, hey, Ed, I saw your post. Can I join your club? I said, okay, which club? You
Yep.
want to
Yep.
join Monterey Park Club here in District 100 or some other club? I said, I want to join. So that's how I get
Yes.
people to join. Tagging is a really great thing. I just hope Facebook won't ban me.
No, so you bring up a very important point. Yes, tagging definitely helps bring up that piece of information or that content on the notification. So if someone, the moment you tag me, I get a notification saying, hey, Ed has tagged you. So that way I immediately go on into that post. If you hadn't tagged me, maybe I would have logged into, okay, I mean, of course, now as a PRM, I log in every day multiple times, but as a regular person, a non-PRM, I might have logged into Facebook 3 days later. So I wouldn't, it might even not come up as one of the posts, the initial few posts for me. So I might even miss it. So definitely tagging helps. And yes, we want to find that right balance. So what I typically do is I try to tag, I see only those who are there in that image, I tag them. If there are too many people in the image, then maybe I'll try to see who are the ones who are active on social media and maybe tag them alone, because then I know they are going to, I'm inviting some response from them. So maybe, yes, have that balance about how you go about tagging. And as for pictures, the best tip is always tell people I'm taking a picture, because that way you won't catch anyone in any awkward, facial expression. So definitely just announce before you take a picture, and that also provides the opportunity for those who do not want their picture to be posted on social platforms. They can turn their camera off, and before you post, you also have the possibility of hiding their names. So yes, if you want to maintain privacy, that's also some good things that you can look at. But what you are doing is definitely helping, because as a brand, you're being a brand ambassador. And if all members of the clubs are able to do that, nothing like it. If they are able to post something saying that, hey, in today's meeting, I learned this, or this is something that helped me from today's meeting, all those things are going to help the general public get an understanding of Toastmasters in general and what that specific club does. So if they have some special segments that they have for table topics, or they have some special themes that they follow in their meetings, all those are things that they can showcase, and people who are drawn to that can join in their meeting. So definitely look at all those opportunities. Okay, so with that, I'm just posting the link of Cheryl's session, which I spoke about in my presentation, where she talks about how to market like a pro. That is more to do with designing the content, how you design content that is relevant to your target audience. So I would encourage you to take a look at that recording if you've not yet done so. We are a little, oh, yeah, yes, Ed, we can take one last question.
Okay, I just want to ask, have you tried doing reels? What are good practices on finding uh, things to put there, like videos or what? Well, have you?
Yeah. So what I can share with you is in terms of Toastmasters, what I've seen that works well is simple things from your club meetings. So if you're meeting in person, yes, you can just, maybe quickly record a segment or a snippet of your meeting. Yeah, thank you, Julie. So you can just record a snippet of your meeting. So let's say the table topic segment. You can record one of the members presenting or giving their table topic speech, and you can use that as a reel. So a good tip for reel is not to make it too long. It should be less than a minute. So if your table topics is 2 minutes, you would want to resize that, make sure it's only less than a minute. So you can get content from your meetings itself, or even outside meetings. You can ask your members to just record a 1-minute video where they talk about why they join Toastmasters and why they stay in Toastmasters, what are the benefits that they are getting. Basically the my why, right? The hashtag my why. They can record some video of that. So once you have these videos, either from the meeting that you've recorded or outside the meeting you've recorded, then you can use that as reels on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube. It is called shorts. The terminology for that is shorts on YouTube. So you can upload those as well. And going back to your question about stories versus reels, yes, stories has got a time limit. It is active only for 24 hours. It shows up as a story only for 24 hours, whereas reel is something which will be permanently on the page. So you might want to, so that's where you can decide certain things which you want like a permanent thing, you put it as a reel. Some short things that you want, you can have it as a story, which is just as a highlight. Okay, awesome. Mimi, any questions from your end?
I guess two things. I think it is going. Okay. I guess one thing is, so when you try to tag someone from district account, from LinkedIn account, I had no problem tagging members. But when I try to tag people on Facebook account,
You don't find them.
it doesn't show up. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
What's
So
going on?
Yeah, so that is because sometimes members have this settings on default settings which are there where it doesn't allow public pages to tag them. But if you go in as yourself, if you go in through your Facebook account, then you will be able to tag them. So that's what I do. I usually post it through the district account, and then I go in as myself, and there I can easily search them up and I'm able to tag them. So that is something you can do.
So when you tag them in the comments, because you probably cannot edit the post,
That's
right?
correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That's a good idea.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, another question is more a PRM related question. So maybe like we should
Okay, sure. Okay, so I'll stop the